Okay, this over here is the 13-inch MacBook Pro base model. This over here is the 16-inch MacBook Pro, but also base model. Now, what are the differences and some of the specs? Is it actually worth almost double the price? What are some of the benchmarks, and what should you know about both these base models? That's exactly what this video is for.
Have you ever tried to edit a document and you thought, shoot, it's a PDF, I can't edit it? Check this out. I've got this program over here called Wondershare PDF Element. It's a really powerful program. So let me just open this file. I found this IKEA catalog on the internet. It's a PDF file, and you put it over here, and usually you can't edit it, but there is so many things you can do with this program. You can convert it to different files, you can edit it, comment on it, you can highlight text over here. So let's highlight, for example, this text over here, and then boom, it's, whatever color you want to do. You can add shapes to it. Let's add this shape over here. So if you're commenting, for example, someone's work or something. But my favorite tool is this, when we go to edit and then go to edit and add text. So now when I've pressed this down over here, everything in this PDF document becomes editable. This bathroom over here, no offense to IKEA. So what if we're gonna add like another 0 to there? But the coolest thing is you can also edit pictures. You can move them around, okay? It knows it's been over there, or you can just rotate them, make them bigger, make them smaller. Let's rotate this, for example. Right click, rotate left, rotate right. And this is just the basics of what this program can do. In general, it's an affordable all-in-one PDF document editor and viewer. It's available on Mac and Windows, and by clicking in the link in the description, you can get a 50% discount. Go check it out in the links below.
So the obvious difference, one of them, is obviously the screen size and the footprint of both of those laptops. Obviously the 16-inch is much bigger than the 13-inch, but interestingly enough, the screen resolutions, I'm just gonna cheat over here, the 13-inch is 2560 times 1600, which comes to 227 ppi, whereas this one is 226 ppi, obviously because it's the bigger screen, bigger resolution, 3072 times 1920. So 1 pixel per inch better resolution on this one than the 16-inch, but basically the same. In terms of the CPU, that is probably the biggest difference over here. This one over here rocks the Intel i5 8257U processor, which is a quad core, 1.4 GHz to 3.9 GHz turbo boost. So that's up to 3.9. This one over here, the base model of the 16-inch, is an i7 6-core processor, and it has 2.6 GHz base clock speed, which is almost double the amount of the 13-inch, and the turbo boost goes up to 4.5 GHz on this one, so miles better processor. Next up is the RAM. This one over here runs the 8 GB of DDR3 memory at 2166 MHz speed. This one over here has 16 GB of DDR4 memory, which is much faster, much better, blah, 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 at 2666 MHz. The storage inside of the 13-inch is 128 GB. This one over here is 512 GB. The battery inside these is that the smaller one over here has 58.2 watt-hour battery, and this one over here has the 100 watt-hour battery, which is the maximum battery allowance that is allowed on any aircraft in the world at the moment. So if you're traveling, this is the maximum amount of battery you can put in a laptop and you're still allowed on the plane. Interestingly enough, even the chargers are different. This one over here has a 60 watt charger, whereas this one over here is 96 watt charger. In terms of the I/O on the device, both of them have headphone jacks, but also the Thunderbolt 3 ports. This one over here has 2, and the 16-inch has 4. When we look at the keyboard layout, there are some differences. The 13-inch MacBook Pro runs butterfly switches on the keyboard, which are a little bit less travel and a bit more clickier, whereas the 16-inch MacBook Pro runs the new scissors, or actually old version of the scissors switches on the keyboards, which is a bit more travel, a bit more softer, a bit more clicky, I don't know. Here's the difference. Now, interesting thing is that often people buy these laptops and want to plug them into external displays and use them as like a dock, and then you edit, for example, on a much bigger screen. Now, if that is you, you need to know that not all resolution external displays are supported with these models. So the smaller one over here, you can connect up to one 5K display at 60 Hertz onto this one through the Thunderbolt 3 port, and it can actually run that. You put 2 there, no, can't do that. Whereas this one over here, the 16-inch, can run 2 6K displays. So if you have one of those 2 Mac, Pro XDR displays, the 6K displays, you can actually run both of these or 2 of them from this 16-inch MacBook Pro. And the price difference is that this one starts from $12.99 and this one over here starts from $23.99. So it's almost double the price. Another thing that's different is the speakers. This one over here has much bigger speakers and much more clarity. So here's a little comparison of the speakers.
Taking one more breath beside you, so I could find strength to divide us. Give it all we got, and I know we did the best we could. If I could go back, undo the mess, I would memorize your face before I go. But this is how we go. Gotta give it up, sometimes it's gold. And knowing when to kill your pride. There's no one to blame, nothing really stays the same. This is how we go.
Now finally, we're gonna move on to the benchmarks. So first of all, we're gonna run the Cinebench R20 score. The single score of the 13-inch is 394, whereas the 16-inch is 463. So there is a significant performance improvement even on the single core performance. Now when we move on to the multi-core performance, this difference is even bigger. The 13-inch has the score of 1661, whereas the 16-inch has 2705. So when you're hearing these benchmarks, just keep in mind that whatever your workflow is, just make sure that you know what programs you're using and what these programs need. Some of the programs use a lot of the graphics card, some of them use a lot of RAM, some of them use a lot of CPU performance. So I've done a few tests, different tests, so just so you know what's the difference. So next up, we're gonna do a Premiere Pro test. So a lot of people buy these MacBooks and try to use them to edit on Premiere Pro. Now, first of all, when I created these test timelines, one thing that was massively different on the 16-inch compared to the 13-inch is that the 16-inch was much smoother timeline moving and performance. It was completely usable. It's much more snappier. Things played back much faster, whereas the 13-inch was struggling a little bit. Now, I created a 10-minute timeline, and it wasn't just like one clip and we just exported to 4K or down-res it or whatever. The base of these clips was 1080p clips, but I put them on the timeline, some of them shorter, so I sped them up, slowed it down, upscale them, downscale them, laid them on top of each other, put some effects on, like crossfades, dip fades, also added adjustment layers so it looks more like a normal work timeline of some sort of video project. And then just pressed export and exported that 1080p timeline to 4K YouTube 2160p settings. So here are the difference. So it was a 10-minute clip. The 13-inch MacBook Pro did it in 47 minutes and 51 seconds. So 4:1 ratio, or even more, almost 5:1 ratio to actual live speed. Whereas the 16-inch here did it in 20 minutes 47 seconds. That is more than twice as fast as the 13-inch MacBook Pro. Another thing I realized when doing this test and looking around, I realized that it's worth, when you're leaving the laptop to render, put something underneath or put the laptop on the side so it has much better airflow, because I saw thermal throttle on both of these because they got really hot. The CPU usage went down and the time kind of went up, so it didn't do as good of a job. So just another tip, they might thermal throttle. So what I did was I just put like 2 CD cases underneath the laptops, which created like an inch gap underneath both of these, and they had much better airflow, and then I could see the CPU usage went back up. Next up was a Photoshop export. So I created just a little template project, and the 13-inch did it in 13 seconds and 94 milliseconds, whereas the 16-inch did it in 10 seconds and 74, so 3 seconds difference over there. Lightroom export over here, the 13-inch did it in 23 seconds and 20 milliseconds, and 16-inch did it in 18 seconds and 56 milliseconds. So you might be wondering, which one is for who? So for me, the very clear thing is that if you're doing any kind of video editing, get the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Even the base model will be much better choice for you than the 13-inch. I can pretty confidently say that editing Premiere Pro projects on this 13-inch MacBook Pro is a no-go. Unless you're in the very last resort and you have to do it, you might be able to do some of it, but on a daily or weekly or project after project, this can't handle it, okay? This can handle maybe a little bit of photo editing and Photoshop and maybe illustration and some coding and a bit more light loads that maybe MacBook Air or normal MacBook can't handle, then this is for you. But if you're doing some hardcore creative designs, video editing, then this is the way to go. Now, maybe you're doing just a slight, maybe little, editing vlogs, nothing special. Then if you're using the Final Cut, you'd probably be fine even on the 13-inch. But as soon as you go to Adobe products, no. 16-inch is the way to go. So hopefully this actually gave you an idea which one is for who. If you still have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll try to answer your comment and get a clarification if that is for you or not. Rest assured, if you want to pick these up, I'm still going to leave a link in the description below if you want to check them out. Like this video, that is massively appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Actually, I'll meet you in the comment section below. As always, adios.